they were not ready as there was still at least 1,000 pages of evidence they need to peruse. Madlanga Commission Chair Justice Mbuyiseli Madlanga granted the request.
The matter is postponed to Tuesday next week. The main reason for that is that we, to an extent, do understand the plea that time is required to go through the documentation.
We move to the courts, where the case against former Public Enterprises Minister Malusi Gigaba and his 4 co-accused has been transferred to the Gauteng High Court for trial. Gigaba made his second appearance today at the Palm Ridge Magistrates Court for a fraud charge linked to a controversial locomotive deal during his tenure. He's charged alongside Transnet executives Brian Molefe, Siyabonga Gama, Anuj Singh and engineer Tamsanga Giani. State Prosecutor Santos Minal confirmed the indictment and a notice of trial has been served to all the accused.
The date that the matter can be transferred, Your Worship, is the 19th of February. Your Worship, there has been an amendment done to the notice of trial. The notice of trial has been amended for all the indictments served on the accused. And Your Worship, the copy that I handed to Your Worship has also been amended accordingly to the 19th.
The Correctional Services Department says the transfer of inmates are a routine practice guided by security risk assessments. The department has confirmed Besta's transfer to the country's only super max prison, Ebongweni. Besta's lawyer says he was not informed of the move prior to the overnight transfer. Correctional Services says Besta will continue to receive appropriate care in line with policy prescripts. Spokesperson Singabako Ngumalo.
All necessary logistical arrangements will remain in place in order to ensure that court appearances and legal proceedings proceed without any form of disruption.
The Gauteng government has kept its promise of emptying Randgate Community Hall, where more than 600 people were living after being driven away from their homes by Zamazamas. Last week, Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi committed to relocating the affected families within 7 days. Eyewitness News understands the residents from the Sporong informal settlement in Rand West have either returned to their homes, relocated to government shelters or RDP homes. Tabiso Goba has more.
For more than 2 weeks, the Randgate Community Hall was a hive of activity with more than 600 people, young and old, living in it. Today, the hall stands empty and all its gates are locked. A resident who lives near the hall, Charlene Erasmus, says following the visits by the Gauteng government, the affected families started returning to their homes gradually.
We didn't have any problems as a community with them staying here. They didn't make noises. There were no problems. We were actually concerned about them going back for their safety. I've spoken to lots of people in the area that stays around the boxing club and that didn't have any issues at all. We were actually sad to see them go because when they were here, we actually felt safe as well.
In the meantime, national government says there will be a permanent police presence at Sporong Informal Settlement to ensure the residents feel safe. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News, Randgate.
Outgoing National Director of Public Prosecutions, Shamila Batoy, is set to give her final media briefing today on the NPA's performance and strategy during her tenure. Her term in office has been marked by slow progress in prosecuting high-profile cases linked to state capture and apartheid-era crimes, despite public assurances that complex investigations were underway. Several cases remain unresolved years after evidence was presented before the Zondo Commission. Dimakazo Leshoro has more.
Shamila Batoy will be the first National Director of Public Prosecutions to complete a term in office without being controversially removed or forced to resign since 1998. She was appointed in 2019 following public interviews for a non-renewable term of 10 years. She finishes her term with 3 years to go due to Section 12 of the NPA Act, which sets the retirement age at 65. Her term has been marred by criticism over slow prosecutions of corruption cases linked to state capture. More recently, Batoy's conduct at the Nkabide inquiry has been criticized. The NPA boss requested a probe into the fitness of Gauteng prosecution's head, Andrew Chauke, but walked out of the inquiry during cross-examination last year, citing the need for legal advice. Her walkout has stalled the inquiry. Her successor, Advocate Endi Motibi, who's 62, assumes the role from 1st February. Dimakatso Leshoro, Eyewitness News.
And Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says Russia has halted prisoner exchanges. He says the Russians made the decision because they're not particularly interested in exchanging people because government does not feel it gives them anything. During a conversation with journalists, Zelensky said the Russians see prisoner exchanges as being more important for Ukraine than for themselves. Gold's trading at $5,051.19 an ounce. The rand's at 15.99 to the dollar, at 21.97 to the pound, at 19.05 to the euro. Brent crude oil's at $70.35 a barrel.
Well, at this stage, if you're heading towards Bedford View, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic in Edenville, R24 westbound between Edenville Road and the Kilulis interchange. Also, if you're leaving Brakpan heading towards Benoni, traffic is a bit sluggish on Rangeview Road between Dube and Tom Jones. Also in the Sandton area heading towards Midrand, expect some delays on the M1 northbound. This is between Greyston Drive and Marlborough Drive.
Look at your weather. It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng today with scattered afternoon showers expected. Temperatures are peaking at highs of 25 and 28 degrees. Clear skies in the mother city with a fresh breeze this afternoon and temperatures are at highs of 30 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour. The Madlanga Commission of Inquiry has postponed its public hearings until Tuesday.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app. You're with Mandy Wiener on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener on Cape Talk in 702 is brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. Think bigger, think Nedbank Commercial Banking. On the show today, Thabo Bester has been moved to the country's highest security prison. Zuma and Mbeki lose their bid to get Justice Gampepe to recuse herself. The Kruger Mayor on the World Surf League not being held in J Bay this year. 21 name changes in the Eastern Cape and KZN on the cards. And it's Friday, so sports and good things too. All of that over the next hour.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday Report on 702 and Cape Talk with me, Mandy Wiener. Good to be with you today. Today is the National Director of Public Prosecution, Shamila Batoy's last day in office. I know you have thoughts. They are often ventilated on this show about what you think about her term of office. I always say, and I get a lot of criticism for it, that we underestimate how eviscerated the National Prosecuting Authority was by the state capture project. But we need to see more convictions, people in orange overalls. Your advice to Andy Mothibi as he takes over tomorrow as the NDPP. What are your expectations? What would you like to see him doing? Send me a WhatsApp voice note, 072-702-1702, 072-567-1567. We'll also chat about these name changes that are on the cards in the Eastern Cape and KwaZulu-Natal. So often such a vexed issue in South Africa. People see it as being politically motivated, that it doesn't reflect the views of all the people. It's a costly exercise, but also it's important to reflect transformation. Do you have thoughts on that? We'll chat about that a bit later on in the show. But let's start with the lead story today. Thabo Bester now joining Kat Matlala at the Ebongweni prison. This is being described as the highest security prison in South Africa. Bester was being held at the Kgosimampuru CMAX facility, so he's being moved. Let's find out about this and why with Singabako Komalo, spokesperson for Correctional Services. Singabako, good afternoon to you. Thank you very much for your time. Tell us about this decision to move Thabo Bester.
A very good day and thank you for having us. As correctional services, the Act allows us to always look at the environment, the state of security vis-a-vis classification of inmates, and possible what could be emerging threats or areas that may require us to give more attention. It will then influence how we then move offenders around or keep them at a particular facility. So this is what has been happening, and this is a routine practice for us. So I've noticed that when we move more of your high-profile offenders, there is always a bit of noise people wanting to know, and there's nothing wrong with that. Hence, it's important that we do explain that everything that we do is informed by the state of security and other measures that we have to consider.
I understand that it's routine, but was there a catalyst? Did anything occur to change the security concerns around him?
We unfortunately were unable to divulge some of the reasons publicly because they talk directly to the state of security, but also to other issues that emerge from the environment. And people must then remember that our responsibility is not merely to keep offenders in our facilities, but they must also be safe and secure. So should anything happen to an offender, we will be held responsible as correctional services in case that inmates get harmed or be killed or any other thing. So as a department, the Act then allows us in saying that as you pick up other things, as you continuously review the state of your security and the classification of inmates, be always on the lookout, be conscious, and then take necessary steps in order to ensure that everyone remains safe and secure.
I know it's being reported that the Ebongweni prison is the country's tightest security prison. Is that accurate?
Ebongweni is the only super maximum correctional facility in Southern Africa. So not just in South Africa. So its design is completely different from other correctional facilities that you'll find in Southern Africa. So that's other people, they call it a facility of last resort, meaning when everything else has failed, you then take a person to that particular facility.
I mean, I realize that I might be a bit cynical here, but surely Thabo Bester should have been there from the first place. This is a guy who launched one of the most brazen escapes from a prison, the stuff that has made a Netflix series. Surely he should be in our most tightly secured prison from the get-go.
We did confirm when they were brought back to the country that we took him to CMAX at Hoshimamburu, whose level of security is also detailed. But there we needed to augment by having officials guarding him 24 hours a day. Not just the walls and the technology that we have there, but having physically people outside his cell for those hours. So, and at the time he was attending to court cases, and those cases are still ongoing. But the frequency of those, it would have been impossible for us to take him to Ebongweni and then take him to Bloemfontein each time he needed to appear there. But also, you also have to look at other things that unfortunately I cannot divulge in terms of saying for how long to keep an inmate in a particular facility, and then when do you then move that inmate so that you then break what may then become a familiarity between the offender and the officials who work there. So it's something that we always have to consider as correctional services, so that we don't find ourselves with an egg on our face like what happened at that private facility in Mangaung, where the offender could then use officials, in the shenanigans that he was up to. Hence, he managed to escape.
Singabako, thank you very much. Singabako Kumalo speaking to us there, spokesperson for correctional services on that issue. So now we have both Kat Matlala and Thabo Bester being moved to the Ebongweni prison, the country's tightest security prison, from Hoshimamburu CMAX facility. I mean, you get my point. Like, you'd think somebody like Thabo Bester, who literally staged his own death and managed to escape from the Mangaung facility, would be kept in the most tightly secured prison. He has now been moved there, but at the same time you also have to balance that with access to legal teams and moving him to court and back again. Your thoughts on that, having listened to Singobako?
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener on 702 and Cape Talk is brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. See money differently.
Former President Thabo Mbeki and former President Jacob Zuma brought an application for the chair of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission cases inquiry to be dismissed. They wanted Justice Hisi Khampepe to recuse herself, citing bias on her part. That application has now been dismissed. Khomotso Modise, EWN reporter in studio for us. Khomotso, good afternoon to you. Take us through that decision.
Well, good afternoon, Mandy. The decision coming from Justice Hisi Khampepe after arguments were made about 2 weeks ago. And the three reasons that she's given really is around the delays, which were a big part of the arguments that were made. The question that was being asked is why former President Thabo Mbeki and former President Zuma took so long to come forward with their recusal applications, particularly because they knew from May that Justice Hisi Khampepe has been appointed to be the chair of this Commission of Inquiry. They also knew that they would potentially be called to testify. And the question was, why? Why did you delay so much? And so the reasons that she's given in dismissing their recusal applications is the unreasonable delay. So she says that they've delayed and they failed to provide proper explanations for their delays. And that shows that their apprehension of bias is not reasonable. And, in the judgment, she goes into how it seems to her that in terms of former President Mbeki, he wouldn't have come forward if former President Zuma didn't bring his recusal application. And in terms of former President Zuma, she feels that the reasons that he's given show that this isn't really about some of those reasons. And really there wasn't real urgency on his part, particularly because he speaks about how the final straw for him was when she ruled or dismissed the application for the evidence leader to be recused. So Justice Khampepe isn't sold on any of the arguments that they've made, and she feels that this matter needs to move, the commission must move, and there should not be any delays that are unwarranted.
So what happens now?
So what happens now is we're going to get communication from the Commission about a way forward. We are expecting announcement on for the first witness, in fact. And I think it's really concerning, Mandy, that since this Commission was established in May, we haven't heard from a single witness. We've been dealing with all these administrative issues, the interlocutory applications, 2 recusal applications, and we really hope that there won't be any more of those delays. But the President has given this Commission until June to complete its work, in July to submit a report. So they need to get cracking.
And what's at stake here? What ultimately does Justice Khampepe now have to decide?
Well, now she needs to establish whether there has been a concerted or there were concerted efforts to delay or stop the prosecution of apartheid-era crimes. You know, what this is all about is those 3,000 plus cases that were referred from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission to the NPA. That's in 2003 when the final TRC report was submitted. And, the mandate was given to the NPA to prosecute. And there was also, the instruction to further investigate for prosecution. But you and I know that almost none of them, virtually none of those cases have made their way to court. And the ones that have made their way to court are nowhere near done in terms of those hearings. And what this commission about is it's about establishing whether the allegations that there were people in government, that there was political interference to stop the prosecution and to stop the investigation of these apartheid-era crimes.
Khomotso, thank you so much. Khomotso Modise, EWN reporter in studio there, telling us about the dismissal of that recusal application brought by former Presidents Mbeki and Zuma. Real growth needs more than just banking, and Nedbank Commercial Banking is your growth partner. Their team of industry experts understand your business and its potential, offering insight to help you see opportunity where others see obstacles. Because when you can see what others don't, you can do what others can't. Think bigger. Think Nedbank Commercial Banking. See money differently. Nedbank is a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Your office is more than just a place to work. It's a reflection of your success. At Desk and Chair, we help you elevate your workspace with locally manufactured desks and a wide range of chairs to suit your style and budget. Our expert consultants are with you every step of the way, from planning to delivery and assembly. Visit our showroom in Midrand or shop online at deskandchair.co.za. Desk and Chair. Think, feel, work better.
At Isuzu, we know every delivery, every kilometer, and every load is building something bigger. This truck month, set your business up for success with special deals across the Isuzu N and F Series ranges. Don't get left behind. Speak to your Isuzu truck specialist or call 08600 Isuzu and secure your truck month deal today. Isuzu, with you for the long run. T's and C's apply.
It's the final days of our summer sleep savers. Start your summer days with healthy sleep from Dial-A-Bed. Our queen size 40-wing sleep Tri-Pro firm pocket spring set is reduced to only $7,499. Save $2,500. And our Sealy Celebration queen set is reduced to only $8,999. Save $4,500. Dial-A-Bed. Sleep for life.
WhatsApp Mandy
on 072 702 1702.
Good afternoon, Mandy and your team. Mandy, about Advocate Mutivi. You know what I would like him to do at the NPA? There's these resources that these investigators, e.g., the Madlanga Commission, those investigators, they research. They investigate, they research. You try to lie, you are caught out that you are lying. Those resources must come to the NPA for the NPA to be efficient. Simangaliso Wahachanye in Tembisa.
Yo, Mandy, Tabu and Kat in the same prison.
Listen, do we have a choice in this matter? I mean, if you want to keep them both in the most highly secured prison. Do you remember when Oscar Pistorius and Radovan Krejci were playing soccer together in the same prison and the video footage came out? So, hey, maybe Kat Matlala and Thabo Bester are playing soccer together at this high security prison in KZN.
702, the Midday Report, Monday to Friday.
12 to 1 p.m.
The former Minister, Malusi Gigaba, back in court today at the Palm Ridge Specialised Commercial Crimes Court. This is in connection with his arrest last year. All of this to do with undisclosed amounts of cash from members of the Gupta family when he was Public Enterprises Minister. Jabulile Mbata, EWN reporter in court for us, joins us now. Jabulile, take us through today's court appearance.
Good afternoon, Mandy. So from the previous court appearance, what was outstanding was the indictment and notice of trial. What we know is that Malusi Gigaba was out on a warning while the four other accused were out on bail. So they returned today and those were served today. So we'll hear from the state prosecutor on when exactly the matter will now be ready for trial.
And Malusi Gigaba, has he given any indication about how he feels? We know that he does speak. He said he will continue to cooperate as well.
So Malusi Gigaba did not speak to the media directly, but he has, relayed his message through his advocate, saying that he is confident about the trial. He maintains his innocence, and he was quite happy today in court. He did not show any concern, and immediately after the case he left. But again, he has reiterated that he maintained his innocence, and he's only charged with one charge, which is a corruption charge, as opposed to the other accused. So as far as we know, he's quite confident.
And the NPA, are they saying anything about the strength of their case and how prepared they are for trial?
Yes, they did say that they are also quite confident. Right now, there are no additional charges that will be added. They are ready for trial, which will start on the 19th of February. And that's all we have for now.
Jabulile, thank you so much. Jabulile Mbata, EWN reporter. She's been in court at the Palm Ridge Specialised Commercial Crimes Court. So I've been asking about Shimila Batoy and what you think about her term. Here's an example of a case that is a long time coming. Malusi Gigaba being charged in connection with his relationship with the Gupta family. Does that satisfy you? Is it sufficient? Would you have liked to have seen this expedited? Do you think that it's enough to see a former minister like this appearing in court today? Or would you have much higher expectations from Shimila Batoy and Andy Motibi going forward?
702. Mandy Wiener.
Weekdays 12 to 1 p.m.
The Border Management Authority has been reporting back on its festive season operations. If you were listening to us throughout December and into January, we covered this extensively, where we saw a huge volume of people moving through the country's ports, particularly our land borders with Mozambique and Zimbabwe and Botswana. So let's get a sense now of how we did with Dr. Michael Masiapato, the Commissioner for the Border Management Authority. Dr. Masiapato, good afternoon to you. Thanks very much for your time.
Good afternoon, Mandy, and we appreciate this opportunity as the BMA.
Now that you've had some time and space to process the events of the festive season, give us a summary of what actually happened through our borders over that period.
Yeah, no, thanks, Wendy. Mandy, yeah, indeed, this, as is always the case, has been one of the most testing period for the BMA, because we had one of the highest numbers in terms of the people that were moving in between our borders. We just did below 5 million people in terms of this particular period, just in a period of 36 days, running from the 10th of December until the 15th of January. So everything went according to how we had planned, although we did have some bit of challenges during the exit leg in terms of the N4 corridor on the towards Libombo into Mozambique. But of course, the most critical issue is the fact that we have seen the decrease of the numbers of people attempting to enter the country illegally. We only intercepted around 26,000 people. And of course, that is not to say the others were not intercepted. No, they didn't attempt, because this time we do have drones to be able to monitor the entire ecosystem. And of course, the other good thing is that if you were to look at the interceptions that we've made around the minors, we're able to take care of them and make sure that they are properly reconciled with their families. So everything went according to plan.
You mentioned the drones and the introduction of technology. How much of a difference do you feel that made?
No, the drones had been very much great. Remember, if when we were operating without drones, what it means is we have to then have the border guards working together with the members of the SANDF, just patrolling along the borderline, burning fuel for the rest of the time, which is a very costly exercise. But this time around, when we have the drones, we deploy the drones on the air, and then we have the response teams. When we see individuals attempting to come through, we are able to send through the response team, and they do targeted interception. But the most important part, we are able to also arrest the facilitators and make sure that they do not get deported, but they get sent through to the police station. That is the biggest difference in terms of the mileage that the drones give us.
One of the big problems that you encountered over the period was the volume of people going through the Libombo border post into Mozambique. We saw long delays there. It's something we spoke about at length in December. What lessons have been learned from that?
What has been learned, Mandy, in terms of the issues at Libombo, the first part is we need to have some bit of barricades that we need to put on the N4 corridor to make sure that people actually get to be confined into their lanes. Because when the road is open, people literally, they move into the oncoming traffic. We tried to keep order, working together with the traffic authorities, but they kept on breaking the law, creating congestions and all of that. But the numbers were just a lot. I mean, on Christmas Eve, we did 30,152 individuals. That number has never been done by any land port. That is the kind of number you will get at OR Tambo. So at the end, it was a lot of people, a lot of taxis, a lot of small vehicles, but at the same time, we were doing 1,500 trucks daily. So that was a very difficult reality. But of course, in the midst of that, what we learned is to say in the next cycle, we will have to have barricades and confine the people into the lanes and make sure that they are actually processed. It's not because we are processing the people slow, it's just that the people were a lot. And it's because last year, meaning 2024-25, they didn't go home because of the protest at that time, and that is why they actually flooded us this time.
Fascinating. Well, hopefully some lessons learned there to be implemented for next year then. Dr. Mike Masiapato, BMA Commissioner, speaking to us there, reflecting on the festive season operations. And as he explains, obviously technology being introduced, still issues around sheer volume as well, but hopefully some lessons learned.
7:02.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener.
Let's walk the talk.
On the WhatsApp line, hi Mandy, Batoy is highly incompetent for this kind of environment in South Africa. This lady will do well in functioning countries like the UK. Here in SA, you need a hyena, a person with backbone of steel. I actually wrote that in a column, exactly that. Not soft puppies like Batoy and Ramaphosa. It's like having a woman as a president in the Middle East. Huh. Some people can't deal with sustained high stress. Look at the inquiry. She's cracked under high long-term pressure. I'm not sure I agree with that, but I understand your point. I do think you need somebody who is a hyena, somebody who's going to have to really fight this. Nkosana says, Ebongweni is very safe, situated in the border of KZN in the Eastern Cape and very isolated. Cells are underground and everything is operated by remote controls. That's about the prison. And then Sean says, being moved to Ebongiwe CMAX prison as an awaiting trial person must be a curveball for the officials there, as you would surely have more privileges than a convicted person serving their sentence there. 23 hours a day inside your cell doesn't sound fair for an awaiting trial suspect. Remember, Thabo Bester is an awaiting trial suspect, but he's also a convict. He also escaped after being convicted. So I'm not sure that necessarily applies to him. And I saw Kat Matlala's lawyer also complaining about access to Kat Matlala at this prison. And of course, we know prisoners still have rights to consult with their legal team, but they are kept behind bars for 23 hours a day and released for 1 hour a day for exercise. So that's just some insight into the prison where Thabo Bester and Kat Matlala are now being held. 12:31, time for Eyewitness News headlines.
Thanks, Mandy. Good afternoon. The Madlanga Commission of Inquiry has postponed its public hearings until Tuesday. This follows a lengthy debate around the readiness of the next witness who was expected to testify today. Sergeant Fanny Nkosi, a member attached to organised crime in Gauteng, was due to begin his testimony today. Outgoing National Director of Public Prosecutions, Shamila Batoy, is set to give her final media briefing today on the NPA's performance and strategy during her tenure. Her term in office has been marked by slow progress in prosecuting high-profile cases linked to state capture and apartheid-era crimes, despite public assurances that complex investigations are underway. Several cases remain unresolved years after evidence was presented before the Zondo Commission. And the anti-apartheid movement is calling on President Cyril Ramaphosa to seriously consider rejecting the credentials of incoming United States Ambassador to South Africa, Leo Brent Bazal III. Bazal was sworn in as Ambassador Designate to South Africa 3 weeks ago and will assume his duties once he presents his credentials to Ramaphosa. But the AAM, chaired by Reverend Frank Chikane, says Bazal's appointment raises profound and legitimate concerns about the role he would seek to play in the country. Those are the headlines. This Eyewitness News and more at 1 o'clock or as it happens.
EWN Sport.
Good afternoon, I'm Mawande Mateza. World number one Carlos Alcaraz made it through to his maiden Australian Open final after one of the most remarkable performances in his semi-final against Alexander Zverev. Alcaraz led 2-0 and was up 5-4 in the third set when he suffered from a cramp that limited his movement and allowed Zverev to win the third and the fourth sets. However, Alcaraz showed incredible resilience to prevail 6-4, 7-6, 6-7, 6-7 and 7-5 in 5 hours and 27 minutes, the longest ever semi-final at Melbourne. Here's Alcaraz.
You have to believe in yourself no matter what. You gotta still believing in yourself all the time. I was struggling in the middle of the third set. Physically, it was one of the most demanding, matches that I have ever played. I've been in these kind of situations. I've been in these kind of matches before. I knew what I had to do. I had to put my heart, into the match. I think I did it. I fought until the last ball. Extremely proud about myself and the way that I fought and the way that I came back, in the fifth set.
Alcaraz will play the winner of the second semi-final between defending champion Jannik Sinner and 10-time winner Novak Djokovic that is currently on the go. Sinner leads 3-0 in the first set. The women's final is tomorrow and is a repeat of the 2023 final between top seed Aryna Sabalenka and Elena Rybakina, which was won by Sabalenka. The Proteas took an unassailable lead in their 3-match T20 series against the West Indies. They won last night's second game by 7 wickets after chasing down the target of 222 inside 18 overs, thanks largely to a career-best 115 from Quinton de Kock. The third and final game in the series is at the Wanderers tomorrow. The Proteas netball team leads 1-0 in their series with England after winning the first test 52-48 last night. The second and third tests are on Saturday and Sunday respectively at the Ellis Park Arena. Mawanda Mateza, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this stage, things looking really good in Gauteng, and no major delays or accidents have been reported at this stage. However, there's a slight delay. This is if you are leaving the Edenville area heading towards Bedford View on the R24 westbound between Edenville Road and the Giluli's interchange. Also, if you're leaving Sandton heading towards Midrand, there's slow-moving traffic on the M1 northbound. This is between Athol, Oakland and Marlborough Drive. While in the mother city, we still have bumper-to-bumper traffic on the elevated freeway heading into the Cape Town CBD. Also, traffic lights not working in Brackenfell at Case Road and Old Paul Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. Like a businesswoman on the way to the airport after sleeping through her alarm. Bags in the back, boarding pass on the dashboard. She prays she'll make her flight.
Hope I make it.
The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic, it's the potential closing of a big deal. Every story is different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
From pioneering investments in the telecom sector to getting a foot in the door in the early days of private media, the Mine Workers Investment Company has always been on the lookout for new and innovative companies to advance South Africa as a nation, while building financial security for our country's mine workers and their families. As we end a year of looking back on 3 decades of incredible successes, we look forward to the next 3 decades and beyond. Join us as we celebrate 30 years of MIC.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We are also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comments, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we are not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission. Email bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
WhatsApp Mandy
on 072-702-1702.
Good afternoon, Mandy. Mandy, Shamila Patoy. I personally feel she's useless. She laid a complaint about this guy. The next thing, she doesn't want to testify. Sugar.
Okay. Thank you very much for that WhatsApp voice note on the WhatsApp line. Richard says, one wonders why a person who's done such a great job like Ms. Batoy needs to tell us just how good a job she's done. Shades of Donald Trump. The fact remains that if you've done a good job, everyone would have noticed. That's Richard in the Wilderness. And then on X, Rage Spin says, Shamila Batoy was no match for the Cancerati and their cartel-linked comrades. She was also not a closer. She can now go back to sipping cappuccinos in The Hague or retire to a place of her choice. I've been asking the question, what do you think about Shamila Batoy? Today is her last day. How do you assess her? I just feel like there's such a lack of nuance when it comes to this, but I think people are just frustrated that we haven't seen more convictions. But if you look at the rebuilding the capacity, how much of the capacity of the NPA went to the private sector, but we still want to see more convictions taking place. The fact that Malusi Gigaba is currently in court today, is that sufficient for you, or would you have liked to see more prosecutions related to state capture? Would you have liked to see more convictions?
702. Mandy Wiener.
Weekdays 12 to 1 p.m.
Now, I've been following what's been going on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, about this issue around the World Surfing League and Jeffreys Bay. So my understanding of this is that the World Surfing League surf event in Jeffreys Bay is not going ahead this year because of a lack of funding. So the funding commitments not being kept by the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture. Now, Gayton McKenzie, the Minister of Sport, has gone on to X saying, well, this is not true. And he's been having a bit of a Twitter row about the fact that there was never actually an application. The end of the story is that the event is not taking place in J Bay this year. And that, of course, has a huge impact on the surfing community and on Jeffreys Bay's standing as well. Well, let's speak now to the mayor of the Kucha municipality, Hatting Borman, who joins us now. Mr. Mayor, good afternoon to you. Thank you very much for your time.
Good afternoon, Mandy. It's good to be here with you. Thank you for having me.
Obviously a big loss to your municipality, not hosting the World Surf League this year at Jeffreys Bay. How important is hosting this event to your municipality?
It's incredibly important. This is a really critical time for our season period, a winter season period. We're obviously a big holiday destination, and our businesses heavily rely on tourists coming into our town. And the December holiday season is obviously our main economic season, and the winter season is therefore also incredibly important. And we've been really working hard to make sure that our winter season is as long as we possibly can in having tourists and creating events around this World Surf League competition that they have in town, so that the economic impact will be as long as possible and as big as possible for our local businesses.
So what went wrong? Because the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture says that there was no application, there was no funding commitment. This is a privately run event. From the municipality's perspective, what actually happened?
Yeah, so it's very hard to believe. Let me tell you why. So the World Surf League, the WSL, have been applying to us as local municipalities and having having conversations with us for many years. And we signed a 3-year agreement with them in just before the 2024 event. And we, as a municipality, give 2 million rand to make sure that this event comes here. The World Surf League also engages with provincial and national departments over long-term commitments to have deals so that they can secure, obviously, the event for a longer period of time and don't have to go through the whole process every single year. And so there's been talks for not only for this year's event, but for last year, the year before that, and it's been an ongoing battle with the departments. And the WSL also does this all over the world. The reason why they have now gone to New Zealand is because the New Zealand national government has said, yeah, we'll give you the funding and please come. And they then negotiate with the Brazilian government, with the Australian government, all over where they have Portugal, where they have these events. So they know exactly how this process works. They know exactly what the procedures and the regulations are. They know exactly. So for the minister to say that they didn't apply or didn't follow the right processes, I mean, it really doesn't make sense. So the only communication...
Maybe just a point of clarity, Mr. Mayor, just so that we've got it on record. As far as you're concerned, was there an application for funding in line with the bidding and hosting of international sport and recreational events regulations?
So I can the fact that I have is that the WSL applied to us as the municipality. We were then told that the event is not going forward from this year because of a lack of funding from the department and the Eastern Cape Parks and Tourism. So that's the official answer that I have from the WSL. I know that the WSL had various personal engagements with the department, national and provincial departments. The national and provincial departments were actually at the event last year as well. There were various engagements with them. So I don't have proof of the actual application that they did, but I can only think that in these conversations, obviously they would speak about the process, they would speak about application and all of those things. And so I mean, it doesn't make sense that all these engagements took place and then for the department to say, no, they didn't follow the right processes or they didn't apply. It just doesn't make sense.
Is this a matter of incompetence? Is there any potential reason you could think about why the department would not want it to go ahead? I mean, it seems like a no-brainer. This is an institution.
Exactly. So no, there isn't. I mean, I don't want to go into all sorts of political rumors and all of those things. I mean, there's various things flying around on social media and so forth, and I don't think it's necessary to go into that. I think at the end of the day, it's a sad day when government isn't able to support international events, not Jeffreys Bay losing the event, South Africa losing this event, and millions of rands coming into our local economy, just because of people not supporting and not doing their job. You would think if a international event comes to you, especially the minister, that they would take it seriously enough to make sure that they pay attention to this. And it's not as if this is the first year. This event has been going on for 40 years. It's a long-standing event that brings in money and tourists into our towns.
Mr. Mayor, thank you very much for your time. Hatting Borenman, the Kucha Municipality Mayor, speaking to us there about this, I don't know if we can say a decision. So just to be clear, the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture says that this is just not true, that there was no funding commitment that was reneged upon by the department. They're saying there was no application. Pick up a phone, just call each other, sort it out, make sure the event can actually happen. It's so much better for our economy, for tourism, and for that community in Jeffreys Bay.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener on 702 and Cape Talk is brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. See money differently.
Now, we've learned over the years how vexed this issue of name changing can be in South Africa. 21 geographical name changes are on the cards for the Eastern Cape and for KwaZulu-Natal. Also a call by the King in KZN to change KwaZulu-Natal to just KwaZulu and drop the Natal. East London is reportedly also going to have its name changed, along with Graaf Reinet as well. Johnny Mokhlala is the chairperson of the South African Geographical Names Council and joins us now. Mr. Mokhlala, good afternoon to you. Thank you very much for your time. Firstly, if you can confirm to us, what is the status now of these 21 potential name changes?
No, the status now is that the minister is now applying his mind, because until such time that the minister releases a gazette, no name change has been effected.
Okay, and which ones exactly do these refer to? Is this potentially East London being renamed? And maybe you can help me here with the pronunciation to get it right. Is it Kuchompo City?
Ukompo.
Okay, so it refers to that, and then also Graaf Reinet becoming Robert Sobukwe Town.
Yeah, I mean there are 21 names there, né?
Mm-hmm.
And what I find very interesting is that we more often than not discuss only two names, and I'm fine with that. But what I'm saying is that I want to discuss 21 names without actually saying which are those names.
I understand your point.
Yes.
Obviously a bit difficult in terms of like the time we have to discuss this, but let's talk about all those 21 names then. Has the public participation process been done on these 21 names?
All names were taken through a public participation process, because without sufficient consultation, no name will be recommended for name.
Mr. Mokhlala, are you with us?
I say,
there we go. Sorry, we lost you. Okay.
All names went through a public participation process, so that we seek sufficient consultation, because without that, we cannot recommend any name to the minister.
That public participation process, if there are a majority of people that feel that the name should not be changed, hypothetically, then what will happen? How much of that public participation process is considered by the minister?
That's why when we talk, and I'll use your word hypothetically, the minister applies his mind given all the things surrounding the process. If the minister is not satisfied about the public participation process, surely I don't think the minister will approve the NA. Now, you brought in another element. You brought in majority. There's no voting. There's no knowing majority or not. That's why we talk of sufficient consultation. We are not talking about majority, minority, and so forth.
Right. Johnny Mukhlala, thank you very much, Chairperson of the South African Geographical Names Council, speaking to us there about those potential name changes that are on the cards.
Life keeps getting busier. Parenting, shopping, working, exercising, just surviving. With all of that, who has time for anything else? That's why Netcare introduces Netcare Appointmed. Just tell us what you need, a specialist, GP or dentist, and we'll search our nationwide network of 5,000 doctors and find an appointment with a doctor who best suits your needs and medical aid. That's Netcare Appointmed on the Netcare app.
The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. Like the lady on her way to work, listening to a love song on the radio. She's recreating the music video in her mind with herself as the leading lady. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic, it's a concert on the move. Every story is different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
702 and the Dis-Chem Foundation are shining the spotlight on the health matters you want to know more about. Here's what we explored this month.
Restoring dignity and care for millions of learners. The Million Comforts campaign. A long relationship with Dis-Chem already. What got you over the line?
For someone in a vulnerable community, hope can look like access to essential products. The foundation brings the heart, they bring the compassion, they bring the mission. When organizations choose to partner for good, we send out a very powerful message that you matter and your future matters. And that message alone can have people see the hope of tomorrow.
In Conversation on Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Brought to you by the Dis-Chem Foundation, caring for the community on 702.
Sports Wrap.
Sports Wrap.
On 702 and Cape Talk.
Mwande Mateza in studio joining us to speak about the sport this weekend. Listen, if you listen to the show, I'm always honest about the fact that I'm watching tennis at the same time as doing the show, especially during the Australian Open. But what a morning of tennis. That Alcaraz-Zverev semi-final was something to behold. It went the full 5 sets and pretty spectacular, wasn't it, Mwande?
Yeah, absolutely. Good afternoon, Mandy. It's one of the most incredible matches that I've ever witnessed in the sport. And you almost hope that Alcaraz recovers in time for the final because that injury that he contracted looked very quite
Was it
serious.
an injury or was it cramp?
It was a cramp. But yeah, it hindered his movement and the like. And there was a point where Alexander Zverev was complaining that, he shouldn't have had the medical timeout because a cramp is not an injury. It shouldn't be treated the same way and shouldn't have a medical timeout. And funnily enough, I do think that Zverev was correct in his assertions that, he shouldn't have had a medical timeout. But in the end, it worked out for Alcaraz. I think he showed incredible resilience, the likes of which, you don't see on just from an ordinary sort of athlete. So, yeah, I think he showed his superhumanness today.
And then Sinner Djokovic on the go at the moment.
Yeah, I'm very scared about this one because I think Sinner at the moment is
Djokovic has basically walked into the semi-final, to be fair.
Yeah, he didn't have a third round match and didn't really have a quarterfinal that he went through. And he's also got that huge blister under his foot. So I can imagine as well that he'll struggle to get past Sinner today because, yeah, again, Sinner's movement and the way that he's been playing all tournament long has been fantastic. So I'm likely to see another Sinner Alcaraz final.
Quinton de Kock last night, again, just in such fine form, something to behold.
Yeah, the Proteas ended up winning that one. It's the first series that they've won in over a year. Quinton de Kock being at his absolute best once again, and just in time for the World Cup in India next month. I think we can thank our lucky stars that Quinton de Kock decided to come back to international cricket. I wasn't a fan of it at the beginning, but yeah, I think he's proven his value at the top of the order. And if he continues in this vein going to the World Cup, it will be really, really good for South Africa. Also, a couple of good knocks over the course of the series from Ryan Rickleton last night and Aiden Markram in the first game. And you fancy that the Proteas, who are in a series conclude their series with the West Indies tomorrow, if they play well and then go on to the World Cup where they play Canada, Afghanistan and New Zealand, and the UAE should be expected to do well. So yeah, that will be the last one tomorrow, the iconic Pink Day game this summer. Hopefully the rain stays away so that there is a game tomorrow.
Well, let's hope so. And then Ellis Park, it's Lions versus Bulls and Sharks versus Stormers.
Yeah, 2 local derbies in the URC this weekend, and I think there's a little bit of spice to it because the Lions beat the Bulls back in November. I think it was 43-33. And then last week we had the Sharks inflicting the Stormers' first defeat of the season. So I think that adds a little bit to the games that we're going to see tomorrow. I think... I actually don't want to say what I think about, but I think the Stormers will be really, really out for revenge tomorrow.
Lots of sport to watch. Obviously, I'll be glued to the Australian Open men's and women's final. And, of course, the pink ODI at the Wanderers as well. Thanks, Mwande.
Good things.
Good things.
With Brent Lindeque.
Brent Lindeque, the good things guy, wrapping up our week for us with a bit of good news as always. Happy Friday, Brent.
Happy Friday, man, and happy Friday to all of the 702 and Cape Talk listeners. It's always great to hang out with you.
I saw you in Cape Town. I'm in Cape Town. How amazing is this weather?
Cape Town yesterday was absolutely incredible. I wish I could have stayed longer. Cape Town it does offer fantastic weather this time of year, and it was a little bit sad that I had to come back to Joburg.
Don't worry, I'm enjoying the heat and the sunshine. It's just beautiful. Tell us about the 2 breakfast guests who spotted a chef's passion and changed his future forever.
This is such an incredible story. So Lucas Letsuela, he's always dreamed of becoming a chef, but formal training felt out of reach because he had to support his family. 2 regular customers at the restaurant where he works at the Wildekrans Wine Estate, the one lunch after eating, they asked if they could meet the chef that had cooked the food. And when he came out, they got chatting and somehow got chatting about the fact that he wanted to study further, and it was really something that he was looking forward to doing at some point in his life. The couple were so moved by his story, they decided to fund the entire course for him to do. They paid for all his tools, and they even helped arrange transport for him to get to Cape Town. It was a 180-kilometer round trip that he had to get there every day. But Lucas didn't miss a single class, and he earned his first internationally recognized culinary qualification. And so he's going to go on to do great things. But the couple themselves just said that they wanted to do it as an Ubuntu to help another community member in South Africa. And I love this story because it reminds us that there's good people out there that are doing good things, not asking for recognition.
And tell us about the missing child that was safely reunited with his family.
So a young child went missing recently in Joburg, and it triggered concern and urgency across his neighborhood. A local kindness group, who's a charity that we featured on the show before, One Small Act of Kindness, they took immediate action and they started rallying troops to sort of look for this child. Community members, neighbors, private security and police joined the search. They checked absolutely everywhere, and this child was eventually found asleep near a busy road in the neighborhood. Allegedly, he got lost, but he just stayed put. He was shaken but safe, and he was brought to the Linden police station to be reunited with his family. But this story, his safe return, it just highlights how ordinary people can choose to make a profound difference when called to action. And it was beautiful to see that community come together.
That's amazing, amazing. And then, Brent, a brother turned loss into hope by creating a global letter writing project.
So it's taken the world by storm. It's actually a UK story, but I got to interview Ben West because it's impacting here in South Africa as well. A lot of people are getting involved and getting help from this platform he has created. He lost his brother to suicide 8 years ago, and he decided to start a project which launched 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, called Reasons to Stay. And his aim is just for global citizens to write letters that might help people that feel alone or sad. And that site is just booming. His TikToks and his videos are going viral globally, and South Africans are sharing it because it's a simple way to give others hope in a time of need. And let me tell you, when I interviewed Ben this week, what a humble guy. And he's so thankful that it's reached South Africa and that South Africans are getting help by this tiny project, this tiny idea that's turning into a really, really big thing globally.
Brent, as always, thank you so much for bringing us the good news, and we wish you only good things, Brent Lindeque.
You stole my line, as I say every week to all of the listeners, wishing you only good things.
The Midday Report.
Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, Shamila Batoy is having a press conference a little bit soon, in a couple of minutes, about her term as head of the NPA. And don't forget the tennis as well. Sinner currently playing Djokovic if you're looking for something to do, and then head off to the Wanderers tomorrow for the Pink ODI. Thanks for listening. The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener on Cape Talk 702 is brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. Think bigger, think Nedbank Commercial Banking. It's 1 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Madlanga Commission postpones public hearings and bye-bye Batoy. Good afternoon, I'm Mikey Malapo. The Madlanga Commission of Inquiry has postponed its public hearings until Tuesday. This follows a lengthy debate around the readiness of the next witness who was expected to testify today. Sergeant Fani Nkosi, a member attached to organised crime in Gauteng, was due to begin his testimony today. Nkosi, who allegedly reported to suspended Deputy National Police Commissioner Shadrack Sibiya, was previously accused of collecting large sums of cash for Sibiya from criminally accused tender don Vusmusi Kat Matlala and Katiso KT Mulefe. Nkosi's attorney, Hartley Ngwato, requested a postponement, indicating they were not ready as there was still at least 1,000 pages of evidence they needed to peruse. Madlanga Commission Chair, Justice Mbuyiseli Madlanga, granted the request.
The matter is postponed to Tuesday next week. The main reason for that is that we, to an extent, do understand the plea that time is required to go through the documentation.
Meanwhile, in the National Assembly, the Parliament Ad Hoc Committee investigating police corruption concluded its public hearings this week with calls for Deputy Commissioner Shadrack Sibiya's removal. Former Executive Director in the Johannesburg City Manager's Office, Ms. Suli Mlandu, made the final public submission where he labelled Sibiya a serial lawbreaker and accused him of lying under oath. Mlandu testified at Sibiya's 2016 appointment as the head of Group Forensic and Investigation Services in the Metro was irregular. Babala Ndenza has more.
The ad hoc committee's public hearings focused exclusively on Shadrack Sibiya last night and his former role in the city of Joburg. Former Joburg official Ms. Suli Mlandu told the committee that Sibiya had misled the committee during his testimony about an appointment that Mlandu approved. He urged the committee to recommend serious action against Sibiya.
General Sibiya, one, I'm saying he's a prima facie fugitive from the law. The second one is that he's a serial lawbreaker.
ANC Chief Whip Mdumiseni Ntuli also expressed his fears about what would happen if the allegations against Sibiya are proven to be true.
Unless something very drastic is done, we may wake up one day as a country having a national commissioner who is the convener of national criminals in the country.
The committee is expected to continue its public hearings next week before it calls the next witnesses. Babalo Ndenze, Eyewitness News.
As outgoing National Director of Public Prosecutions, Shamila Batoy vacates office today. She'll give her final media briefing at this hour on the NPA's performance and strategy during her tenure. Her term in office has been marked by slow progress in prosecuting high-profile cases linked to state capture and apartheid-era crimes, despite public assurances that complex investigations were underway. Several cases remain unresolved years after evidence was presented before the Zondo Commission. Dimakatsolo Shoro has more.
Shamila Batoy will be the first National Director of Public Prosecutions to complete a term in office without being controversially removed or forced to resign since 1998. She was appointed in 2019 following public interviews for a non-renewable term of 10 years. She finishes her term with 3 years to go due to Section 12 of the NPA Act, which sets the retirement age at 65. Her term has been marred by criticism over slow prosecutions of corruption corruption cases linked to state capture. More recently, Bato's conduct at the Nkabinde inquiry has been criticized. The NPA boss requested a probe into the fitness of Gauteng prosecution's head, Andrew Chauke, but walked out of the inquiry during cross-examination last year, citing the need for legal advice. Her walkout has stalled the inquiry. Her successor, Advocate Endi Motibi, who's 62, assumes the role from 1st February. Dimakatso Leshoro, Eyewitness News.
The Border Management Authority says more than 26,000 individuals attempted to enter the country illegally during the festive season. The BMA and the Home Affairs Department delivered the festive season report today. Over 4.9 million legitimate travellers were recorded passing through the country's 71 ports of entry. BMA Commissioner Michael Masiapato says while there were still illegal travellers, that number has declined drastically.
During this 2025-2026 festive period, there has been a significant decline in the number of individuals who attempted to enter South Africa illegally compared to the 58,394 that were intercepted in the 2024-2025 festive period. This represents a decline of 46%, and this can be attributed to the deterrence.
And the anti-apartheid movement is calling on President Cyril Ramaphosa to seriously consider rejecting the credentials of incoming United States Ambassador to South Africa, Leo Brent Bosel III. Bosel was sworn in as Ambassador Designate to South Africa 3 weeks ago and will assume his duties once he presents his credentials to Ramaphosa. But the AAM, chaired by Reverend Frank Chigani, says Bosel's appointment raises profound and legitimate concerns about the role he would seek to play in the country. Lindsay Dentlinger has more.
When Ambassador-designate Leo Brent Bosel III appeared before a confirmation hearing of the US Senate last October, he told the Foreign Relations Committee he would actively try to persuade the South African government to drop its genocide case against Israel. But the anti-apartheid movement says it unequivocally rejects all attempts to intimidate, coerce or retaliate against South Africa for fulfilling its obligations under the Genocide Convention. A conservative author and media critic by profession, Bosel is a staunch supporter of Israel and in the 1980s belonged to a lobby group strongly opposed to negotiations with then political prisoner Nelson Mandela to end apartheid. The movement says it rejects destabilization efforts including disinformation guised as religious freedom, the manipulation of faith leaders and divisive false narratives such as a white genocide in South Africa to fracture social cohesion. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News.
Gold's trading at $5,093.77 an ounce. The rand's at 15.97 to the dollar, at 21.95 to the pound, at 19.03 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $69.87 a barrel.
Well, at this stage, if you're heading towards Equestria, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic on Linwood Graham Road approaching Solomon Mahlangu. There's also slow-moving traffic. That's if you're heading into Bedfordview, coming from Edenville on the R24 westbound between Edenville Road and the Kiluli's interchange. And look out for those faulty traffic lights in Edenville at Modderfontein Road and the N3.
Look at your weather. It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng today with scattered afternoon showers expected. Temperatures are peaking at highs between 25 and 28 degrees. It's clear skies in the mother city with a fresh breeze and temperatures of 30 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour. The Madlanga Commission of Inquiry has postponed its public hearings until Tuesday.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.